Hello everyone, and welcome back to Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo 64. I am one wild sheep yet again, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going into my personal favorite level in the entire game. And I am convinced it's purely because of the soundtrack of the level. It's probably the best song in the entire game, and it's so good. But first things first, we're going to go back into this little crevice that we saw in the last part, ladies and gentlemen, because if you remember the ice block that we destroyed, well, we're going to need to pay a visit in crocodile form, because behind this little crevice, we're going to meet a brand new character who's actually a pretty big mainstay in the Banjo series. In fact, he is a very important character in this game. You can avoid finding this character, but it helps if you find him, because he is Cheeto. He gives you cheat codes, and cheat codes are... they're not so much cheats as they are power-ups in this game, ladies and gentlemen. You know, you can get traditional cheats that are like infinite health and what have you, but Cheeto by here gives you little upgrades to your already used abilities. And if we go to Treasure Trove Cores, and you remember that little room in which we used to ground pound all the tiles, and there's loads of codes we could potentially enter in them. That's where we go to enter in our cheats, and for the most part, when I was actually recording this playthrough, I was debating using them, because the game's more than completable without using the cheats, but I figured I might as well use them at a later time. So for the most part, I'm not going to be using these cheats, and I'm going to be picking them all up at one go at the very end of the playthrough, you know, folks. I'm going to be picking up the cheats and using them right before the final battle, so don't worry, this is going to be a pretty much cheatless run. Granted, all the cheats are literally stuff like more eggs and more feathers, which are mainly just... they don't make things so much easier as much as they just help out in the long runs, you know? In fact, there's 3 major cheat codes in this game you can get hold of, and the first one we got does double your egg count. That's all it does. So, yeah, I wonder if you guys can wonder what the second and third cheat codes do without looking them up. Come on, I don't want you guys to cheat. I don't want to comment saying, oh yeah, Wikipedia says. No Wikipedia. Guess. I want you all to guess. Anyway, back on the back of good old Drunk Gunty statue, here's the next Brintilda of the game. Dirtiest undies. Ew. That's disgusting. She often boasts of preparing on the cover of #Mildly, polishing her crystal ball. Terrifying in every way. I would never want to see that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies. Like I said, those little facts are completely randomized with every playthrough of this game, ladies and gentlemen, so you are going to need to look out from Brintilda, and you can use this playthrough as a sort of guide to find out all the locations, because I think, for the most part, I find every Brintilda in the game. I think. Maybe I missed one, but it doesn't really matter in the long run, because I get past the final sequence anyway, in which case all this stuff becomes relevant, so I digress. Anyway, this is obviously a desert-themed world, so break down the door by here, and we'll have access to a switch. Well, you remember that Gruntilda switch we hit in the last world? Well, now we can actually access the Jiggy that switch gives us. So it'll give us a little shock jump pad. So jump on the jump pad, and the giant ominous vase in the middle of the room, well, just jump on in. Think of it as the vase in one of the vases in Mario Brothers 2. You know, it's sort of like a warp world. So in we go, bada bing, bada boom. That's a very cartoony sound effect. I love that. Woo! But yeah, there we go. There's the 5th Jiggy of Gruntilda's lair. Gruntilda's lair is pretty much like every other world in terms of the fact there's still 10 Jiggies to collect. The only difference is the other collectibles don't really appear in here so much. You know, there's a couple of things like the Mumbo tokens, but for the most part, most of the things in Gruntilda's lair, the usual. Just basically all you can really get in Gruntilda's lair are Mumbo tokens and Jiggies. You can't really get hold of like notes or anything, which you'd probably know by now at this point in time, can't you? But anyway, new entranceway of the world, well, of the castle basically, and this is, we're going to be spending quite a bit of time in this little area mainly because the next 3 or 4 worlds revolve going around this area, so hope you guys like the way this one looks. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're finally entering the next world, my favorite world in the game. Just listen to that music, it's so damn amazing. Oh, so yeah, this is the obligatory ice/snow level of the game, and Grant Kirkhope, he is godlike when it comes to Christmas themes. This music is cut out because we went inside this igloo by here. This igloo belongs to a good person called Boggy, and he's going to be a good friend of ours later on down the line. But a very big quest in this particular world is collecting all these presents for these kids that Boggy have been neglecting because he's been going out skiing. And if you look down there a little bit, you could actually see Boggy for a split second, but there he is, he's sort of fading in, there you go. And he's sort of gotten himself into a bit of trouble because he decided to be a numpty and he swallowed a jiggy. Oh, Boggy, I hate to bog you down, but that wasn't something good to eat. It's not like it's one of those chocolate coins you can get, which, if no one's had chocolate coins, you're missing out, alright? Every Christmas time, like the local spa, which is basically a corner shop, has all these chocolate coins you can buy, and oh my god, they're just, oh, they're so nice, they're so good, so... but I digress. Anyway, you're going to want to ground pound this little Christmas opening chest thing because inside are twinklies, and what we're going to need to do is basically go in a pattern and destroy all these lizard thingies and help the twinklies get into the Christmas tree. It's simply an escort mission, you know, that's all it is. So if you continuously go back and forth in the same pattern that I'm doing so right now, you're going to be able to do this without any problems whatsoever. It's really, really easy. If you don't know a good pattern to get through this, like the pattern I'm using here, then it could be tricky, because I remember back when my first playthrough of this game, all years ago, I used to have so much trouble with this, but yeah, it's not that bad, you know? So just escort the twinklies until the lot of them pop into the Christmas tree itself. And when they're all in a Christmas tree, then it's going to be oh so beautiful, and we're going to have a brand new switch in the back of the vase. So let's go and turn that on, shall we? Of course, in traditional Nintendo tradition, it's going to be a 3-hit button. I've noticed that thing with Nintendo games in particular. Like, Nintendo like the number 3. Like, boss fights usually take 3 hits in Nintendo games, or have 3 phases, or there's 3 boss fights, or there's 3 of a certain thing, you know? Nintendo love the number 3, I've really noticed throughout these years. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. It's so pretty! So yeah, hitting the switch with your eggs will turn on all the lights, which means we basically need to go on over here, because there is a flight pad over here. And as you can guess by that not so subtle hint from the twinklies, we need to be a star. How can we be a star? Well, there's a star on top of the tree. Let's fly through it, shall we? Yes. And of course, like I said, Nintendo loved the 3 of something, so just fly through the star 3 times, and we're done, you know, we're all well and good, shall we say. No! Why? You didn't see that didn't happen, alright? That was all in your brains, that was all imagination. See, I succeeded first time with the simplest task out there. So, now that we've done that, let's head inside the Christmas tree somewhere without hurting yourself, preferably. Jesus Christ. A lot of the damage in this game that I notice I get is caused by myself. But yeah, climb into the Christmas tree, and there's quite a few collectibles in this tree we're going to need to pick up. And termites? What are these doing here? That's a really random place to play, you know, a random place to put the termite enemy in this game, you know? Inside the Christmas tree, we need some mooks. Just chuck the termites in. No one will notice. But you do have a lot of collectibles in here, which can be quite handy, as well as a nice refill of red feathers. which we're going to need because we do need to do quite a bit more flying in order to get through this world. You know, folks, this is a pretty vast world. It's one of the biggest worlds in the game. And flying is not only the easiest way to get around, but there's a couple of jiggies that basically make flying mandatory, you know. And of course, this is the first of the presents, you know. You have to give it to someone who's sad. That's what the present says, actually. I had to say that because I cut out the dialogue before I left the tree. But the present basically talks to you and says, "Give me to someone sad." So yeah, we're gonna be dealing with that later on. Basically, the presents are one of the last things I'm gonna be doing in this world because, well, there's 3 of them, so I usually get them as I'm exploring normally, you know, folks. Anyway, hop down here, and we have yet another brand new ability from good old Balls. As soon as I get this Mumbo token, you got to get the Ekum Bokum first, you know, folks. Actually, speaking of Mumbo, I don't know if I actually brought this up. I might have back in the second part, but the guy who voices Mumbo is actually Grant Kirkhope himself. And for the most part, it's set to grab a number of random samples from his voice. And basically from what I can tell, he just went into the studio and sort of made random noises like "Ekum Bokum, I am going to kill you, ba ba ba," and it just works, you know. But I digress. Anyway, next thing we want to do is use our newly gained Beak Bomb attack. Now this attack, if you push the B button, whatever you're aiming at, you will fly towards directly. And it is awkward as hell to aim when you're not used to it. So, it doesn't... What you need to learn is that attack doesn't fly in the direction where you're specifically looking. What it will go is... You'll fly towards the center of the screen no matter what. So anything you're aiming at, you're going to want to central it. You need to make sure that these guys' hats are in the center of the screen because that's their only weak point. And we need to go across the entire world, basically decimating these mooks. So after a good couple of attempts, I get used to the flying mechanics again, and I can pull it off, you know. It's a little bit better in the sequel game, Banjo-Kazooie, because again, Banjo-Kazooie improved on a couple of things. So this beak attack, you can actually sort of manipulate where you're going left, right, up and down as well while you're diving. So aiming with it in the second game is a little bit easier. But yeah, we just need to basically go across the entire world and destroy all these snowmen. If these snowmen are deceptively easy to get hit by because they'll throw snowballs at you and they have sort of, I guess, semi-homing properties, and they're not cool. They're not cool, you know, so just chill out, keep in the edge, and whenever they're flying towards you, just sort of try and do sharp turns by pushing the R button, which, to this day, not many people even know you can do that, like hold down the R button and do a sharp turn. But anyway, for destroying all of the snowmen in the level, a Jiggy will pop up on the top of the giant snowman in the middle of the world, so yeah, we can go up there right now and essentially collect that Jiggy, but first things first, what we want to do is, you see these giant red buttons? Well, we're going to want to break them down, because breaking all these will cause another Jiggy to pop up at the bottom of the snowman, you know? Like I said, a large portion of this world is basically spent flying around, which is strange, because I'm not usually a big fan of flying in these type of games, but the flying controls are so tight in this game, and because the game really benefits exploration more so than traditional platforming, the flying level is not so much more about being good at flying, it's more about traversal and finding ways around, you know? And I like that. I like when games do, you know, I like it when games play on their advantages, you know? So, but I digress. Just pop on up here and be careful because the Jiggy is encased in ice. And these ice, they have a case of the googly eyes going on, which means it's living ice. And, well, basically, you need to break the ice. You break the ice? Get it? No, you need to basically kill the ice blocks and grab hold of the Jiggy that ways. Because it's a family game. It gets worse in the second game, though. We literally murder in the second game, because it's an ice block that is sentient, that we deliberately kill because we killed the ice block's husband, which is also an ice block. The second game has a lot of dark tones, I've noticed, in comparison to the first one. This first game is really just a light-hearted everyday adventure, and oh my good god, By the way, you don't want to be standing in this water, because this water will hurt you, so, I'm a little bit panicky right now, I'm not gonna lie. But it is very fortunate this game is easy in the fact that the only real ways you're gonna die are bottomless pits and your own fault. You know, enemies aren't likely to kill you because you can just simply run away from them and they won't stand a chance. Enemies are weak. Enemies are pathetic, ignoring the fact I got hurt like 5 times by bloody dragonflies. I bloody hate the dragonflies. Sorry. I am calm, I am collected, I am cool. Cool! Get it? Because it's a nice level. Oh, there's no way you can top my puns. But yeah, I have to say as well, Banjo-Kazooie, considering how old the game is, it has aged pretty well graphically, you know, folks. It's obviously the textures are really blurry and it's very simplistic in terms of how things look. But just because of the art style alone, if this was released today, like it has been on the Xbox, blah blah blah, it would, you know, people would treat it like a modern game. The only difference is with a lot less graphics. A lot less good graphics. And honestly, I never understood the real, why everyone... There's a very big stigma in the gaming industry I've noticed recently where people really go nuts with game graphics. And I've seen people disregard games because the graphics aren't good enough, and to those people, shut up, you're idiots. Graphics don't make the game. Well, if of course a 3D game, graphics makes the game because then it's 3D, but in terms of graphics aren't the biggest thing. As long as graphics should be there, but they shouldn't be the central focus, you know. If a game looks nice, that's great. But if it doesn't have the gameplay to back it up, you know, what's the point? Like, let me look at my shelf here. I'm pretty sure I got a good example here. Last of Us? No, actually, if I talk about that, I get a lot of hate. So, Sonic 06, back when that came out, that looked alright. But the gameplay was a broken mess. So, you know. Anyway, this here is Wazza. He is a walrus. We are a bear. Walruses do not like bears. So basically, whenever we go near good old Wazza here, he's going to protect his home, and he's not going to let us get hold of his jiggy, because obviously we're a big mean honey bear. We're going to freak him out. We're going to scare the living hell out of him. So you might be wondering, what is the solution to this problem? Well, obviously, that's when Mumbo comes in. So we just need to pop on over to Mumbo and get the next transformation, which will allow Wazza the walrus to, you know, to trust us. He'll be a bit more friendly and kind, and possibly even donate a good old jiggy or two towards us, you know, folks? You know? But maybe I'm being too trusting. I don't know. Oh no! No! Yeah, some walls as well, despite Kazooie's talent trot ability, it's like the only move I know by name in this game. She can still fall down certain slopes, so just be a bit careful of that, you know. If a slope is still too steep, Kazooie will still fall down it, so just be a bit careful of that. And this scarf formation really bugs me, because on the scarf formation you'll see notes and obviously feathers, as you can see I'm collecting, but the feathers are so damn hard to see. You see, if I was designing this level, I would have put the notes on the red portion and the feathers on the yellow portion. That way they would stand out and be easy to pick them up. But no, that would be too much common sense. But anyway, back on top of this snowman we are. And I think it's time to collect the last of the goodies that we missed out on earlier on, because I didn't collect everything I can on the snowman earlier on because... Oh god! Oh, my butt clenched. Because, well, honestly, I wanted to go back up to the snowman anyway later down the line, because if you noticed at the very edge of the snowman, there's actually a sled. We need to use the sled because it's basically our way to save Boggy. Well, not so much save Boggy, but you'll see, you'll see. Yeah! Yep. We just killed Boggy's appetite. Not appetite. We saved him from a deathly... The Jiggy's outside of Boggy's body now. There we go. He threw it up. And now we can keep it for ourselves, which is all well and good. So you might be wondering where to go next. Well, I've gotten all of the presents, so why not go back to Boggy's hut and give the kiddies their happy things. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Banjo-Kazooie! Go-huh? Actually, how would Banjo say that? Go-huh, go-huh, go-huh! Merry Christmas! That's more goofy than Banjo, but I don't know. I can't do his voices properly. Banjo's not an easy voice to replicate, especially considering most of the time he talks in so it's just it's not the most replicatable replica. My words are failing me today. It's not the most replicatable. There we go. Voice in the world, you know, folks. But I digress. It's time to move on up over to here. And you'll see Boggy has actually decided to take up sled racing. Unfortunately, us as Banjo, we can't race him. So we're going to need to do a bit of transformation magic in order to do the race. Because obviously we cannot fist. We cannot fist? Ew. We cannot fit that. Dear God. We cannot fit on the sled right now. So just ignore it for the time being, we'll deal with him later on. And one thing I have to say is this level is actually quite unique in that we're going to need to backtrack to the stage at a later date, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, we need to backtrack here because that sledding minigame actually has 2 rounds. We can't do both rounds the first visit because we need a power-up that we're going to get in the next world in order to complete it. And this may bug a couple of people, and to an extent it sort of bugs me. But only because the rest of the levels in the game you can beat in a single go. It's only this level and Gobi's Valley where you kind of have to do an extra loop of one of the levels, you know, folks? Which kind of, it's just a minor annoyance, you know, it bugs me a slight bit, but I digress. Anyway, let's just collect the rest of the goodies that we've missed out on, and I don't know if I brought this up, but the water around, the water around this world, it's icy. If you jump in this water, it's gonna hurt you. You know, it's cool, but it's too cool. You know, it's too cold, and we're not very cold-hearted. We're not cold-blooded creatures. We are warm-blooded creatures. So cold water is not good for our body temperature. Needless to say. Actually, wait. Wouldn't it be better for us than cold-blooded? Because don't cold-blooded creatures have to stay out in the sun all the time? I don't know. I haven't been to school in years. I don't know my biology that well. Hell, I can't even tell you what most of the creatures in the world are. But I digress. Anyway, I don't understand why this lives. I know I'm really pushing this point in, but seriously, this game shouldn't have lives. They're pointless. They're pointless. I assure you. Anyway, you can probably hear the help, so pop on up here, and there's a Jinjo in here. Again, a bit of a deceptive place to hide the Jinjo, but fortunately the Jinjos make noises and stuff like help, which points them out. And that's one of the best things about this game, actually, is the sound design. Like, if you see if there's a Jinjo in the same room as you, you'll hear it, and you'll know, okay, there's a Jinjo around here, I better go searching around. Also, keep an eye out on top of Mumbo's hut there as well, because there's obviously notes, and you better note down that collecting those notes is going to be helpful for the end game at the very least. Well, not even the end game, we need the notes to traverse normally through the castle, so it's a good thing to get the notes right away. I don't know why I'm doing this voice. I think it's because I'm scratching my nose and it just so naturally came out. But anyway, we are now a walrus. Now, as a walrus, we can do nothing. We have the ability to jump, and that's it. But the big thing about being a walrus form is that we can now go inside all the frozen water, which basically means we can easily get hold of the last of the notes that are just scattered throughout the world. So there we go, yay! And we can also race good old Boggy, which is honestly is a pretty easy race if you know how to handle it. So yeah, let's just head on up and say hi to the fat bear himself.
Hi, Mr. Walrus, fancy a race?
Why, yes, I do fancy a race. I'm hunting rabbits. Ah! No, all we need to do is steer ourselves through the red the red flaggy gates. There we go. I can't say the word flaggy gates. Screw it. Go through the red flaggy gates and just basically beat him to the end. That's all you need to do. Use the control stick to move forward and push the A button to jump. Why would you need to jump? Well, because jumping will actually make you go up slopes like this faster, and it's a very unique thing that not many people know about, I don't think. In fact, every time I see people play this game, they never bring that up, and I don't think it's really common knowledge you can do that. So, yeah, whenever you're coming up to slopes, jump up the slopes, you go up them quicker. This applies for Kazooie as well, which can be quite handy. This is why you see me jumping like a madman every time I reach a slope as Kazooie later down the line, you know, folks? But yeah, it's a pretty easy race. There is a harder variant later on when we have to actually play as Kazooie, but again, we need to use a specific power-up we don't actually have access to yet to do that one, so don't worry if he does get in front of you though, because there is a bit of rubber band AI in this one, folks, so he will slow down a little bit if he's in front of you, and he will speed up when he's behind you, but if you continuously use the jumping thing on the slopes, you'll beat him no problem, you know, folks. He is done and dusted. And with that, we get a fantastic medal. Is it the shiny jiggy kind? Yes, it is. Oh, my favorite. Yes. Tally-ho. Oh, I missed it. Oh, I missed. But we pop down here, and this here is Waza again. And because we're now in Walrus form, instead of hiding in fear, he's going to give us a good old jiggy, and he's going to hop on into his home. And because he's no longer guarding his home because of this, we can now go in and explore freely as good old Walrus Banjo, which is fantastic. Fantastic. Now, for those of you who don't know, this home is actually the home of a very special item. And it's actually an item that's... Again, I'm gonna explain in the extra part because there's a lot to cover involving it. But it's an item that's actually used in Banjo-Tooie, so it's quite unique. I'm gonna point out exactly where this item is when I get to the chance, because yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Anyway, hopping up down here into this secret passage, in quotations, we got our last honeycomb piece, which I believe is the last honeycomb piece for this world. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the last honeycomb piece for this world, because I picked one up earlier, did I not? I don't know, these are half-hour episodes. It's kind of... I'm still too used to doing 15-minute parts, and my brain time doesn't consider half-hour, you know? But I'm going to do a bit of teleportation magic here, and pop on back as Banjo after transforming, because you guys don't want to see me run all the way back to Mumbo's Hut just to transform, just to come back here. Anyway, we need to hop on up here, collect this Jinjo, and we are basically done for the first visit of Freezeezy Peak. Oh yes, so normally behind us, there's a nice key, and normally we can't go inside that room. Because that room is usually blocked off by a nice wall. Why can we go inside it? Because I was a numpty and I activated a cheat code way back when I first found out cheats of this game. And unfortunately, that cheat code means I can never get that item again, which makes it saddening for me to do the LP, you know, folks? Which is why I show off those items in the Xbox Live version later down the line in the extra parts, because I can collect them again in the Xbox Live version. Well, I assume I could have gone emulator up as well, but N64 emulation isn't really the best. I mean, they've just recently, at the time of this recording, which is... They've only just recently released a plugin to make games look accurate to their original versions, you know? And they still don't run perfect, so I wouldn't record on an N64 emulator to save my life, for the love of God. But, I digress. I digress indeedio. Yes. But anyway, the Grunty switch had the Jiggy open up inside this room. So in order to get access to it, we can't actually get access to it yet. Because... Speed shoes! What we need to do is actually jump on this here panel, and a flying pad will pop up in the world. And we're meant to use the speed shoes to basically run to the flying panel before it disappears. It literally is a few seconds you need to get to it. So, yeah, that's going to be a Jiggy we're going to get later on down the line. So, don't fret, people. Do not fret. Because everything is going to be fine and dandy. I assure you that. Anyway, these blue mooks by here, these are actually a bit tougher, a bit of a tougher variant of the normal Gruntilda soldiers around her castle, because they will take 2 normal hits to kill, or a single peck attack, which is why I prefer using the peck attack. The thing's bloody godlike. I tell you, it does so much damage. But yeah, we created a shortcut, which means we can now jump inside that pot and pan and teleport to an earlier point in the game, which is very handy. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this part, so thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, people, and when we return next time, we'll access Gobi's Valley, the next world of the game. So again, thanks for watching. Don't be sheepish. I'll catch you all next time. Hope you all enjoyed. Bye!